Now, software might not be the first thing you evaluate, but once you're using it every day, cost and usability matter. We'll show you how the interface and a few hidden costs set these platforms apart. This is video 4 in our wall printer comparison series, and today we're talking software, the behind-the-scenes engine that turns your artwork into a wall print. Now, both machines deliver great results, but the differences in interface, workflow, and cost can add up fast. We'll walk through the user interface of both systems, compare ease of use, and highlight a few areas where what you get and what you pay for might surprise you. If you're curious to see more on how these two printers stack up, check out our full comparison playlist in the description below. And while you're down there, be sure to grab a copy of the Wall Printer Buyer's Guide to see how these printers compare in all aspects. Let's dive in.
Now, before we actually print and talk about print speed versus print quality, let's go over the software and the UI for both of these machines, which is a pretty big distinguishing factor between them. So for the DXonJet, we are running Windows directly on the machine, and so we have two main softwares we use on Windows, and that's the DXonJet Control and MainTop, which is the ripping software that we're going to be using to turn our photos into print-ready files. Now, both of these do have a much older feel. You know, it's kind of like booting up Windows 2000, and you got to navigate a good bit of menus when you want to change settings. However, they both work very well. And MainTop is considered an industry standard in printing, so there's a lot of resources available online, whether that's YouTube or forums, to learn more about how to use it better and how to get into all these technicalities. And the DXonJet control software also feels a bit older, but it does work well and has full capability. It actually has some features that wallPen makes you pay for, included in the package. Now, the wallPen uses their own proprietary app that you run on a tablet, computer, or phone to control the machine. The phone UI I wouldn't really recommend, but works great on a tablet and laptop. And you gotta hand it to wallPen on this one. It's really clean. It feels really friendly opening it up, and it's easy to navigate around and change your settings. Now, one of the biggest differentiators between these two machines is gonna be what wallPen considers pro features. And those are things like skip swath, automatic distance setting, and wireless upload. Wireless upload just means we can upload files straight to the machine from the computer without having to walk back and forth with a USB flash drive. However, to the best of my knowledge, that's not a feature the DXonJet offers at all, so I'll mainly talk about the other two, skip swath and automatic distance set. Now, automatic distance set is pretty self-explanatory. You press a button and the print head moves into the distance to the wall that it needs to print. For the wallPen, this is about 7 to 8 millimeters, and similar for the DXonJet. You can set that manually on the wallPen, but it is part of the Pro subscription to be able to press a button and move it in automatically. Now, skip swath is going to be the biggest one here, and that means the printer is only going to print where there's a print. So by standard settings in any printer, it's going to move the full vertical height and then move the full vertical height again, even if the design was a wave. And this is the best example to explain skip swath. So if we had a wave design that was a blank background everywhere else, and we were using skip swath, the printer would only print where it needs to, moving up and down within that printable area and saving us a lot of time. If it was a design like a wave, we might save half of our print time in doing that. But usually with designs, what we're looking at is some kind of logo, maybe with wings coming out to the side, and that saves us about 20 to 30% of our print time. Now, this is a feature that comes standard on the DXonJet that you can turn on and off. For wallPen, it is a part of the Pro subscription. So they give you the Pro subscription for the first year. You don't have to pay for it. You get all the features. And after that, it is $2,700 a year to keep that subscription turned on and be able to still use those features. Personally, I'm not a big fan of subscriptions. I'd rather pay a one-time license fee for something. So this isn't really an addition that I like to the machine, but this is something that each operator needs to weigh for themselves. If you're doing a lot of print projects, especially later on once you get going with your machine, this could save you a good bit of time and might be worth the money. I just really enjoy that the DXonJet has all of that included and there's no subscription anywhere.
All right, we've talked about why the interface matters, but now let's actually see what it looks like in action. In the next clip, I'll be breaking down the wallPen and the DXonJet software side by side. Now for the wallPen software, they've designed their own proprietary app that combines ripping software and printer control into one interface. So on the left side here, we have our ripping area where we can load in a file and then save it as a .wallpen file in this case. And on the right side, we can select the file that we want to print. This middle page is where we're going to control the position of our machine. So we can move the head up and down, move it into the wall or away from the wall, and then also move the machine back and forth on the track. And we also have these small buttons up here for small adjustments, so 0.5 millimeter and 0.1 millimeters. And then over on the options page is where we'll select all of our print settings when we're ready to print. So you can change your passes right here, print strategy, desired print start, And then we obviously have some more settings for fine-tuning your calibration, your vertical speed, and some other things. Overall, this software flows really well, and it just feels intuitive to work with. All right, now let's take a look at how the DXonJet handles software and how we get a photo to a print-ready file and then control the machine as well. Now for the DXonJet, we're running Windows on board, and MainTop is going to be our ripping software. And our ripping software is essentially just what turns our photo into a print-ready file, and that's where we'll change some settings as well. So within MainTop, that's where we would change our passes, if we're going to use white ink or not, and sometimes also the saturation of the image if we want to make it lighter or darker. All of that is defined here before we send it over to our control software. Now let's take a look at DXonJet's control software. This software does feel a little bit older, but it does have very flow capability. So here we're just on the file select screen, and we're going to click the file that we want to print. And you'll see on the right side, we now have all these buttons that show up, and this is how we actually control the machine. So whether we want to move it around, move the print head up and down, or bring it closer to the wall, this is where we would do that, as well as our purging, our nozzle tests, and even travel mode, where it purges automatically every 48 hours and keeps the heads fresh. We've got a couple other pages here with settings that we can change, but for the most part, you don't really have to touch these. And once you learn the software, it is very easy to use. Software may not get the spotlight, but it plays a huge role in your day-to-day success. Whether it's the UI you're staring at for hours or the features hidden behind a paywall, this stuff matters. If you found this helpful, be sure to download our wall printer buyer's guide. You'll find it in the description. It's full of key questions and comparisons that can save you time, money, and frustration. If you're enjoying this series, don't stop here. Click here to see the full playlist and keep exploring how these two printers really compare.